buonasera a tutti. Faccio una piccola introduzione. Stasera abbiamo l'opportunità di parlare con due membri storici dei Gentle Giant, Derek Shulman e Gary Green. Io ho fatto questa presentazione e niente, mi auguro che vi divertirete e cominciamo.
Buonasera.
Hi Gary. Okay. Okay. Derek, hi.
Tutti. Hello, how are you?
Gary, hi. Speak Italian.
No, I'm sorry, I don't. I
Non
know.
parlo italiano. Poco.
That's all,
Poco, just a little bit.
Piccolo.
Piccolo, small it.
Yeah, small.
Thank you for your time, Derek and Gary. For me,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure to talk with two idols of progressive music. Now, I want to ask you the first question. Sorry, but I written. What are you doing now, Gary and Derek? Are you involved in so many projects? Can you tell us about something going
I'm sure
on?
Derek's involved in projects. I know I'm not.
No, I don't think so.
I'm involved in a few projects, but not actual recording per se. More, actually, guys, I'll tell you this. I think you probably know the kind of music documentary is things that I'm involved in, but really not a whole lot of stuff. I mean, not nose to the grindstone 24/7 stuff. It's more sort of things, issues, things that are about music and music related documentaries, 2 or 3 of them that I'm involved in, and they're quite interesting to do because I know nothing about it. So I'm learning as we go on. So I like that because I'm I have no clue what I'm doing, and that's usual for me anyway.
I think you get good results sometimes not knowing what you're doing when you go into things. There's a kind of naivety about it, and that's all right.
Yeah.
It's stuff to discover.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I'm looking over people's shoulders and saying, "Oh, that's how they do it." Okay,
that's how we learned to record back in the day.
Exactly that. Yeah, that's true. What are you doing, guys?
I'm not up to much as far as music goes. I mean, I've been, amusing myself here with those things in the background. See that?
Yes.
What's that?
That's Marshall I had in the band. That's the same cabinet.
I thought it was. Yeah. What's the little one on top?
It's a Fender Blues Junior that I bought a couple of years ago. It's great. Really good.
And under it is a vintage Marshall.
Yeah. It's for sale if anybody wants to buy it. 1970, whatever it is, 3.
Was that the original one you had on stage?
It was the last one I had on stage. So there was the H&H and all that stuff, and I wish we still had those Park amps.
I was going to say, remember the Park ones originally?
Yeah. They're well sought after now, but anyway.
Are they?
Yeah, they're like a Marshall.
Matteo, we're just catching up with each other here. So if you're left out of the conversation,
it is.
I'm sorry, Matteo. We haven't seen each other since when was that? New Jersey, the Gorg in New Jersey, 2-3 years ago.
2 years ago. Yeah.
But for me, there's no problem, Gary, because it is funny, like two old friends talk about memories and things. For me, there's no problem because it's natural. It's not prepared at the table. It is a conversation, not an interview with some questions. It is very important to seem very natural. So, Gary, in your point of view, you play with Malcolm Mortimore in Free Friends.
Yes,
it is a tribute band. Is it right?
Tribute? I don't know. I suppose in a way it could be called that. Yeah, but we were trying to play the music of Gentle Giant very faithfully and respectfully, because there's no other way that you should play it, and to bring the music to the emerging audience that had resulted as a result of us getting older and more people being born every minute. So from that point of view, I think it was a pretty good success.
Before you came to the streaming, I talked with Derek, and I say to him that I was lucky to hear some good music from my father. My father was a huge fan of Gentle Giant. From the first album to Octopus. Later, I think so. He don't like it so much, but is not a bad news. It is good because when I was 5 years old, because on Tuesday I will be 38. It will be my birthday, and I remember the first time when I heard nothing at all. For me, was a lullaby. For me,
Lullaby, yeah.
yes,
I can
yes,
see that. It's
yes,
kind
Until
of
you
because
get until you get to the heavy part.
yeah.
yes,
Well,
but
you have to grow older quickly then at that point.
Yeah.
in my memories, so many albums acquiring the taste, and for me, Free Friends. Now, Derek, what is your favorite album of Gentle Giant? The best one of your life? What is the love of your life?
No pressure there with that one there.
Yeah.
No,
Oh boy.
no pressure.
My favorite album. I'll tell you. You know what is interesting? I would have said up until maybe last year, the Power and the Glory, honestly, because I think that was the easiest time and the easiest um, album to make because we were on a kind of a high note as a band and more mature, and then we kind of were breaking through in lots of markets. But I've recently listened because I had to do some new, well, not recording, new wave files to all of the albums, and I listened to In the Glass House again,
Glass
uh,
House.
and I don't know you guys, but I tell you that album
It's great.
was really great. I mean, I didn't even realize even at the time. In fact, I didn't like it at the time because it was a very hard album to make, as guys will probably
Yes.
remember as well. But
Yeah.
now I'm listening to it now. It's really, really good. I mean, so I said today, I would maybe yesterday I would have said the Power and the Glory and or Octopus. But I think as of today, Saturday, whatever it is, in the Glass House. So
In a
Well,
Glass House.
it has the added sort of detriment of not sounding great in the original form,
correct.
and that's kind of, it's just sort of like too lumpy, too bassy, not. I don't know. It's just not sort of enough space in it. It just isn't a very good sounding album. I don't think. Maybe that's coloured my remembrance of it as well. But the tunes are great. Yeah, absolutely.
But I listened to individual tracks and their remastered files. But yeah, you're right, guys. It was very dry, very It was done very quickly. That's why.
Yeah.
I think that the first press of In a Glass House from Vertigo is not a good sound quality, but I think that in 1973, if I don't mind, this album was very, very hard for the critics because you came from Octopus a little bit different from the others. In my opinion, and I don't know if you agree, Derek and Gary, Free Friends for me is the point of maturity for Gentle Giant. It is very different for any kind of people. For me, Free Friends, it is very important for my semi-career because I am not a professional musician, because I am a drummer. But Free Friends for me was very important.
Sorry,
that's a funny phrase.
Words there.
we both cracked up at the same time.
No, there's the old joke, how many's in a band, and it's 4 musicians and a drummer, and it's right. Not true, but it's a joke that goes around a lot. Sorry, John, Malcolm, if you're watching, and every other drummer in the world. We know it's not true. I think that's kind of right, Matteo, a little bit. The band was maturing at that point. Three friends, Octopus. And then, of course, our world changed. Phil left the band. We became a five-piece, and we kind of wondered if we were going to continue on at that point for a little while. The future was kind of in doubt, I think. Probably Derek would agree with that. And
Derek,
Yeah.
we were
what you
trying to
think
find our
about?
feet, in Glass House too.
Okay, I have
sorry?
here a first press of. I have a first press.
It's in good shape too.
Yes, because I found in a shop in my town, and I want to ask you, the song "Notes" was inspired by R.D. Lang, was a doctor.
Oh, right. Yes, not.
Yes. R.D. Lang was a psychiatrist, a Scottish
Okay.
psychiatrist,
Okay.
who wrote these interesting parables, if you like, about psychiatry, psychology, in a form of a poetic fashion. And actually, Phil was much more aware of it than anyone else. So we basically borrowed the lyrics from him, and well, not borrowed, stole actually is the word.
Never gave them back for sure.
And Knots became, and of course, Carrie's an incredible arrangement with these words which kind of fitted into each other, became this song called, or piece of music called Knots.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your memory of it, guys?
Yeah, I don't recall the process of Phil introducing the lyrics, but they obviously fit the tune so well because it was this sort of cycle.
It's a loop.
Yeah. It just fit so well. It was kind of a strange kind of madness in the tune, and as there are in the lyrics, so it just fit beautifully together. Happenstance, it's good.
I think that the important thing of Gentle Giant, as you said, Gary, is the vocals. If you think about this piece, Notes, or Nothing at All, or Funny Ways, Funny Ways, it is important, the vocals.
On reflection?
Yes, on reflection,
Design,
just the same.
well, many examples, aren't there?
Many examples, and I think that this thing of voice, it's a point of view for my father when he listened the first album. He said to me, Gentle Giant was very different from Genesis, yes, King Crimson, and I think that it is a better thing because Genesis and King Crimson was very the prog dinosaur. Gentle Giant, it is an elite band in my point of view. Not so many people knows about your story. Maybe here is in Italy so many bands. When you said Gentle Giant, oh yes, I know it, but they don't know all the discography. And in my point of view, and I don't, and I want to know if it is true. The distinctive thing of Gentle Giant is the vocals and the use of so many instruments, classical and electric and electronic. Because I think that the piece, another great piece, was echoing the taste. It is a little bit of classical music with the Moog synthesizer, but
Absolutely.
it is very classical. What do you think about when so many people tells that the vocals are very important for Gentle Giant?
They absolutely are. I mean, we had 3-4 great singers in the band. Derek, 3 great singers in the band.
Derek, Ray, Phil.
Kerry, Ray had a bit of a foghorn voice, but his voice fitted in nicely with 4-part stuff. It's hard to answer that question. There's so much in that. I mean, I didn't have singing ability particularly, but I was happy. Well, a little bit, but I was happy to hear them sing. It's absolutely such a major part of Gentle Giant, as is the many instruments.
Yeah, I think that I would say just to give it a perspective on the vocals and the music itself. The vocals were, of course, they were important. The vocals, but I think the whole aspect of Gentle Giant was the fitting in of the vocals and all the instrumentation. And thematically, there were never, apart from certain songs, but not that many, the vocals were kind of thematic as opposed to a tune on top of chords. And that was the difference in the band, I think.
Yeah, they were part of the music. They weren't separate from the music. They weren't, as Derek said, they weren't singer-songwriter kind of tunes.
Correct.
It's all part of the same. It's a piece of music, of which the vocal lines is a part that fits with all the instrumentation. So yeah,
right. And you'll hear if you like in certain respects, I think guys will agree that I mean probably because of Carey's compositional skills, the music and the vocals have thematic, are thematic, and you'll hear the bass play a piece, and then Gaz plays a piece which is secondary initially, and then he'll come out front and play that same theme as what, and then the vocals will come in. So you'll hear that kind of, and that's very, very. You hate to use the word classical because it sounds
contemporary. Contemporary.
Yeah, for us.
But for me, it is very classical because in nothing.
That's where it's basis from. I think that's right. But like they were saying, you get a theme stated in a tune that is the bass line, for instance, like Mr. Class and Quality.
Yes.
The bass line at the beginning is the big vocal chorus of the ending.
And the ending of Free Friends for me is an epic is an epic movement. When
sorry, go ahead.
When I was a runner, when on my phone these songs came, when I ran and I listened to Free Friends with the mellotron and the vocals, for me was an epic, like a Scottish on the Highlands. It was for me a great emotion. Sorry, Gary, you have to say.
That's just a question occurred to me where recurring ideas, musical ideas, would appear sort of throughout an album, often. But I noticed, and I don't know if this was intentional, Derek, and you can answer this for me, but there were certain words that would crop up within an album that I noticed got repeated.
Yeah.
Or little tiny 2-word phrases, something. I can't think of the examples now. I remember that's so. But obviously, it's intentional since you're.
You're. I think again. This idea of a theme and thematic pieces of music coming together in the instrumentation and the vocals and even the lyrics would be what Gentle Giant was all about. We didn't spend 5 minutes with Carey on a mellotron pretending he was the London Symphony Orchestra. We got bored. I think that's probably I think the band had ADD, actually, to tell you the truth.
Right, yeah. We couldn't leave it alone long enough to let it repeat out too often. So
no, four bars, we had to move on, otherwise we'd start yawning or falling asleep, or walking out.
Well, I think it just showed we had a sort of restless kind of imagination, and we were, we wanted to get to something new often and quickly.
Yeah, it's true.
I think that the instrumentation of your band, if I think about it, it is very different from the other band because mellotron was not used so many times from Carey Miniar. I think that the Moog, yes, but is not like the strategic and the same instrumentation like other bands with mellotron, Moog, Steinway, and I think that it's another part of of Gentle Giant to be different from the others. And I think that when I spoke with Derek, in Italy, Gentle Giant was very loved. And I think that so many concerts here in my town, Brescia, maybe in the yes, in the 70s, the first album. I think that Gentle Giant in Italy, the classic lineup was very, very loved. Have you memories about Italian tours?
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember the best one, perhaps, or one of them. We played the Palace of Sport in Rome,
Rome,
and we
Torino.
left. Sorry, not in Roma.
Okay, not Turin, not Turin.
No,
No.
Roma.
We also did Torino too.
Yeah, we
Yes,
did. But we left the gig, went back to the hotel after sound check, and came back to play the show. And the security people wouldn't let us into the show, into the gig.
That's right.
And we had to keep walking around the Palace de Sport, and every gate they wouldn't let us in. And it was only because Malcolm was inside, who was getting worried about it. We were very close to showtime. He said, something's got to be wrong. And he went and stood by a gate, I think, and we happened around it a second time. And eventually we got in, but we nearly didn't play the show because they didn't believe who we were.
Yeah, security didn't. Earlier, I thought these 4 or 5 Englishmen, trying to get into backstage for nothing.
With guitars.
You get the guitars too. No, but it was a great show. That was, I do remember, that was one of the better, best show. No, touring Italy was always
wonderful.
Fantastic for the band. It was, we loved the audience, we loved the country, and it was one of the first countries where we actually broke as a headliner, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So, what and the food and the people and the whole atmosphere of Italy was one which was very special to us, I think. Gaz, I'm sure you agree.
One of my favorite ones was in the early days, we didn't have tuning devices. We had to tune our instruments on stage, and typically we'd get on stage and I'd ask Kerry for a note on the keyboard, and he would play it, and I would tune up, and we got on stage and we started doing this, and the audience noticed we were trying to tune up, so they were all going shh. The whole crowd was became really quiet so that we could tune up.
Yeah, no, that's true. The audiences were they were very exactly respectful of us as musicians, which is, I mean, if you did that in with all due respect, Gaz, in Chicago or where you're living, they start throwing tomatoes at you immediately, or just say fall cat or whatever the songs are, Anyway, so that was very the Italian audiences were always very respectful about us being musicians and allowing us to do what we did.
They were very musical, weren't they? The Italian audience. They were I think because of their love of classical music, perhaps. But it seemed it was they appreciated music. All of the big Italian prog bands, Aria and
we were talking about
Franco and stuff. They were all quite sort of operatic a little bit, but and this was part of the Italian culture, it seemed, and they saw that in us, I think, a little bit, and loved that about us.
Yeah, in fact, you mentioned PFM, who toured with us, and in fact, I remember us going over their place. Remember that, guy?
Yeah, New Year's Eve, wasn't it? Not.
Yeah, it was New Year's Eve, correct? Yeah, and what was funny in my memory was that PFM, I think they kind of liked the band because they were backing, they were touring with us. But what was interesting, and I remember that, was on the turntable was a bunch of Gentle Giant albums, which I would assume they were listening to and maybe stealing a lick or two. I don't know. I hope so. Anyway, but they were very, very good guys and also a very good band as well.
Yeah.
I think that the the audience, Italian audience, was very polite and very quiet because we have so many great prog Italian band like BFM, like Banco del Mutuo Soccorso, and I think that this band have taken so much from Gentle Giant. If I remember, there is a song of PFM in the third or fourth album, and they used the classical vocals like Gentle Giant, and I think that it was a respect between the bands. Now this respect there's no more, because when I was a musician, not now, in the little band there's no respect. There is a challenge between. For the drummers, there's no problem, but the drummers are behind. But for the keyboardist, the guitarist, the bassist, and the bass player was a challenge, and it is very different from the old times.
Well,
what do you think about? There's no. I think Gary and Derek, in those days, there was a challenge between Gentle Giant, yes, or King Crimson. I don't think so. There was a path from every band. No?
I don't know. I seem to remember that we were very protective of our own identity in Gentle
Yes.
Giant, and we would go out on stage, and our sort of what we wanted to do was to take no prisoners. We were going out there to win the audience over and to blow the other band off the stage. We were competitive in that way, and I think other bands were actually in the early days for sure. We never really ran into Genesis
No.
as a for that to happen. We did play with Yes a couple of times, and I think we definitely were trying to hold our own selves up to show them that, hey, you can't mess with us, musically. There was definitely that in our brains. I think, I'm pretty sure. Back then.
Yeah, but I also think that guys, that certainly, yeah, you're right. As far as going on stage, if we're playing with Yes, and the Yes were the headliners, in fact, and didn't and I think they were. I know they were, in fact, because I worked with them subsequently. They were concerned that we were going to blow them off the stage, which actually we did. To tell you the truth. But that's
But it was friendly, sort of kind of thing. It wasn't.
It was exactly that. Yeah,
it was.
Exactly.
We were there to prove ourselves.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
But but as far as the band is concerned, I don't think we ever tried to say let's sound or let's be like Genesis, let's be like King Crimson. We were like Gentle Giant, and that's it.
We lost Gary. We lost Gary. I don't know. Maybe he can return. There's no problem. He's here. Sorry.
He's coming back. There he is. Yeah.
Gary, you disappear for a little while.
What did I miss? Did you talk about me?
Can you level up the volume, please?
The volume went down again.
Nothing's changed. It should be the same. No?
A little better. Coming back now.
Maybe it's just a
quirk of
built-in sort of noise gate or something.
Yeah.
Sorry. I have to say this. Just the same. Sorry, it is a joke.
That's okay.
Just the same.
Any Giant music references are okay.
And the second part of Gentle Giant, from free hand to the end of the band, I prefer to have some things about the missing piece. The missing piece was a different album from the others, from free hand or from interview. The missing piece, it is contains so many songs, but very, very not long. it was a choice that you make because the time were changes, or it was because maybe the prog wasn't so very successful in those days?
Go
Probably.
ahead, yes.
Bless you. Oh, is that a sneeze?
Thank you, because I
I
have
think
the bronchitis.
we were trying to make a hit album, weren't we? We were always trying to make a hit album, and we didn't understand why we weren't a hit. And I think Missing Piece was a step towards trying to make a hit. That's why we called it The Missing Piece, because hopefully it was going to be, the missing piece and be that hit record in our arsenal. But so we had made a step towards it, whilst not totally abandoning the Gentle Giant of freehand and
An interview.
Stuff. Right.
Yeah. So.
But we were. It's just how things are. A band needs money to survive. There would have been no Gentle Giant had there not been any money coming in. It's as simple as that. And
Okay.
Obviously our previous albums were not selling in boatloads like Genesis and Yes's were, and it put a bind on us being able to put the show on that we wanted to put on to people, to go to the places we wanted to go, to bring our music to people. So there had to be something of a little compromise there to try and get more commercial success, to enable us to go do the things that we wanted to bring to people.
Go ahead. That's right.
Difficult.
No, I think what would happen actually during that period of time in sort of mid to late 70s into the early 80s was that there was a whole lot of changes going on in the media, especially radio, which is at that point the most important marketing tool that you had, apart from playing on stage, of course.
Commercial.
So yeah, and bands like Yes and let me think who else, Genesis, were able to hone their sounds into a hit single, and because the formats of AOR radio at that point had changed into hit song oriented music rather than playing a side of an album. So we figured let's try our best to do what they did, but we weren't. I mean, I guess we tried, and I don't think it was unsuccessful, but I don't think we were. I think we would have actually, in retrospect, it's bizarre to say this, but I'm in certain respects glad that we weren't able to fit ourselves into that niche, because because we would have been a different band entirely, and that would have been, and the legacy I hope we still have would have been tarnished. That's my thought.
We couldn't.
Guys, what's your thought?
That's right. Well, I mean, we couldn't totally commit in the end to being a completely commercial band.
No.
We thought we probably could do it by halves, by steps, and of course nothing works when you do it by halves, including trying to be a hit singles band or whatever it was. We couldn't be that band. We tried starting with Missing Piece, and we tried more with Giant for a Day.
Civilian.
And Civilian was a sort of came back to a sort of realization that that's those albums were not who we were, but we can still make something very listenable. And I think Civilian was a good album for us to go out on.
Yeah,
it rocks,
I agree.
It's got good music in it. It preserves who we were for sure. But I mean, outside circumstances changed. In the music industry, like Derek was saying, they wouldn't play. It used to be that radio stations would play whole sides of an album, so you could sit at home and smoke your stuff and listen to a whole thing. And then the landscape of radio changed, and it was a tune, this and that, and we weren't built for that kind of market, and we couldn't adapt to it.
Standard songs, standard. Okay.
Yeah. No, and it would have been, and actually, that what would have happened, and I can attest to it because having been in the band before Gentle Giant, Gary will remember with his stories And having a big hit single and a big hit record could be great for a period of time, but ultimately could become a millstone around your neck, and will basically put you in a bag where if you don't have another hit single, you start becoming a parody of what you were, and that's one thing that I think Gentle Giant never became, which I'm really happy about. I
Yeah.
mean, in retrospect.
Yeah.
because there was so many personalities, and I think that the difference was the music. Because 2 weeks 2 weeks ago, I've seen on YouTube a recording concert when I call Gary, a BBC Sight and Sounds, was the 1978, and it was I think that the tour of Missing Piece or Giant for a Day, and this concert was not very different from the other one, and the classical energy of Gentle Giant, it was very touchable. When I see Derek sing 2 weeks in Spain, because before the intro, like a soccer game, for me it is very very funny. And when Derek and Gary play 2 weeks in Spain with John Withers, Give the Time, for me it's very important. There's not so many people in the audience, because when the BBC see the people, there's not many people. And I want to know the suite is very cool of Derek, DVS, like
The white
your
jumpsuit.
suit, Derek.
Yeah,
Derek Victor Shulman.
yeah, I know that, and when I look at it, I'm so embarrassed.
No,
I'm almost like, I wish. What was I thinking? To tell you the truth.
Comfort, I think. Like I was. I had bib overalls on.
yes,
But
yeah. Go ahead.
that
Sorry.
show, Matteo, is a BBC theatre. It was a theatre. Had been the Golders Green Hippodrome,
yes.
and it was the BBC recording studio. So much of the space was taken up by equipment, and only a few invited people that came to the shows to make it look like a live show. In fact, it wasn't a live show. It was yes, we played live, but it was a TV show with an invited audience of, I don't know, a couple hundred, if that. So there wasn't a big crowd because it's not a regular gig. But
Okay.
Yeah, and it was quite a few cameras, so it was a lot of equipment, as Guy said. So that's why it wasn't in front of a big sports palace arena. That's what it was. It was a studio.
It was also recorded in quadraphonic.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know whatever happened with that. I never heard it in quadraphonic.
I think that because I have the only official live playing the full, the second disc, there are so many songs of this concert, because the original, the last track was I Lost My Head, and the remaster, there is the second CD, and there was so many songs of this concert. I want to ask you this thing, and Gary and Derek, have you think about a reunion, or it is very difficult to do
reunion?
for Gentle Giant with the classic lineup? No.
Yeah, no.
No.
It's a no. That's as far as I think we want to talk about it, really. No, I mean, it's no. We're all ancient people now, and no. We couldn't. It'd be this. It's hard music to play, very tough, and we all have separate lives. And
it was a fantastic chapter for all of us. I mean,
absolutely.
Really,
it couldn't be repeated.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm happy to have done the Three Friends thing with the music, to play the music. That was nice, but no. We don't need to do that. There would always be these horrible comparisons to how, played when you were in your 20s. You know, it's not going to be that. And
Okay.
it's unfair and not right. No.
And having seen and having been involved in other bands that have reformed and played to their old fans, as you know, sometimes new fans, but it would never, for I think for me anyway, and I think for the rest of the band, Gaz as well, and everyone else involved, got John, Ray, Kerry, and Phil even. I think that we first of all, physically it would be almost impossible, but you can't recapture certain things that were captured because we were young, naive, and did things that we wanted to do at that point. I mean, when you try to recapture and rewrite history, it never works. It's part of a chapter you write, and if you go back and rewrite it, then it becomes redundant.
copy.
Is the word?
Yeah. I think
It became a
it might.
copy.
I think it might be fun for us, but wouldn't be fun for the audience. I don't think.
Oh,
And I think
okay.
therein, talking about we would like to preserve our legacy and let them keep wanting more. That's to do.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. We let it lay where it is.
Yeah.
Something
What
happened there.
I'm happy about, and I think Gaz would. I'm sure we both feel the same way. Is that we're talking about a band that broke up 43 years ago.
I was amazed the other day when the 50th anniversary of Octopus rolled around.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I imagined my dad saying something back then in 1960 that somebody had released an album or something music that they had done 50 years before, i.e. in 1910. What? No. It's
Because Gary, you said the legacy of the band, the legacy of Gentle Giant, it's very important, and I think that the remasters made from Steven Wilson and somewhere else, it is very important to keep this music for young people. I think that the young people have to discover so many good music. Now there's no good music, and for me, it is a pleasure to talk with two people who made great music. And I want to leave you with the last question. What you think about the new music? I mean, Derek was in the music business from the 80s. And you, Gary, what you think about, and you, Derek, about the new music? There are so many bands are good, or the music now is dead. For me, there's no way. But I want to hear from you.
I don't know about specific things. There are lots of things I love, as I'm sure Derek does, but I'm still always attracted to good players. Not that I recently discovered them, but somebody like the Tedeschi Trucks band is a bunch of wonderful players. It's a bit mortifying actually to see sort of our peers die, as you sort of witnessed just the other week, Jeff Beck leaving us, and
yes,
those kind of things hit home, and you realise you've had a huge loss there in musical talent. I got to say, I don't see, I don't know who today's Jeff Beck is. Perhaps it's Derek Trucks actually, but so I still tend to listen to players. I'm not so much into listening to new bands. Derek's way more up on this than I am. I'm sure he's got his finger to the pulse a bit more on.
Well, yes and no. No, I think look, music. We grew up, as musicians.
Spoiled.
We grew up as musicians who practice our asses off to even be good enough to play with each other, and that's a whole different animal to what's happening today. Yeah. But I will say one thing, that and I've just discovered this in the last few years, and even less so. some of the most creative music that, and I'll say music in quotes,
I know where you're going.
comes from the hip hop world.
Yeah.
They take little bits and pieces of, okay, are they creating the pieces? Well, in certain respects, they are, and they're very, very experimental and very interesting in the way they grab hold of little intricate pieces of bands like Gentle Giant,
Sample.
in fact, and sample, but not sampling the exact piece, but moving it and manipulating it around so that it sounds very different. And I think they're the most progressive. Some of the best hip hop artists are the most progressive music artists out there. And in fact, we're lucky enough. And I don't know who's doing the interview. I think
Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys.
No. I think more of the sort of more of the artists like Tribe Called Quest. I mean, there's a group called damn it. Well, I'm blanking. Run the Jewels, who had a gigantic hit for with the Black Panther soundtrack, and they sampled Knots. Which I'm happy to say was a big hit for us because we had the sampling and we got good money for it too. But there's a world there that
it's a different way of creating music. It's not
quite
as it used to be. Yeah. It's not quite how it was for us when we were, going up the local music shop and counting our pocket money, and we wanted to buy that guitar and go home. And then you practice it forever. It's not like that anymore. Everything's done on your iPhone through GarageBand and picking up a noise here.
Right. And actually,
it's very different now to make
the creation process. But it's musical creation. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think, guys, I think if this is completely out of the sort of stratosphere, but I think if Gentle Giant was existing today, we'd be a hip hop band. I'd be the worst rapper in the world. But I think the band
you have better clothes though.
With the clothes, with the necklace, with the dollar. Gentle Giant, no.
It's in the closet. I got my bling.
One of those big watches.
Big watches like Public Enemy. No, Gentle Giant, no, like this. Gentle Giant.
We would be a force to be reckoned with, but it would be of a totally different form. We wouldn't produce Acquiring the Taste today. We would make something else, and that's the nature of evolution and progression. Being progressive, it's not just progressive. Doesn't mean the land lies down on Broadway and close to the edge and Octopus. It's many more things than that. It doesn't stop there. That's just one stop on the progression train, if you like.
I want to leave you with my thoughts. The best song for me is a song from Acquiring the Taste. It was Black Cat. For me, Black Cat was a great one because Gary, at the end of the song, with the guitar, make the voice of the cat, like my cat. Black Cat. I have a black cat. His name is Iggy, like Iggy Pop. And I think that Black Cat for me is the most powerful song with some with English humor. And the second one, and it was a song that I dedicated to my wife, Think of Me with Kindness, because I think that it is a love song, a prog ballad. And thank you for your music, Gary and Derek. Thank you for your vitality. When I see the concert with DVS, Derek Victor Shulman, yes, it is a cool suite, very good. And thank you for everything. Gentle Giant, it is in my heart. And my father was very proud of me, because when I said to him, Dad, I will interview Derek Shulman and Gary Green, my father was thrilled about it. And thank you for your time. Thank you for everything, Derek and Gary.
Thank you much.
Our pleasure.
See you soon.
Grazie. Bye-bye.
Grazie. Bye.
Grazie.
Ciao Gary, ciao Derek.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.